Hello everybody and welcome to Front Row Racing on this Wednesday evening as we get ready for the World Championship Reserves round 15 at Singapore. I'm Front Row Racing DP, and in the commentary box this evening we've got Front Row Racing GP and Lord JB13. However, just before I hand over to both of those guys and we get ready to send the drivers over to the racetrack, I just want to give out our sort of best wishes and hopes in the future to Billy Monger. As a young driver, 17-year-old, who I mentioned on the Project Cars DTM League event on Sunday night just gone, that was involved in a horrific crash at Donington Park in the Formula 4 event there at the weekend. And unfortunately he has suffered some severe injuries resulting in both amputation of both of his legs, which is a massive shame for him, for the racing community, and also for his family. So everybody from Row Racing is obviously sending him their best wishes, but also what we're going to do is there's a Just Giving page that has been set up for Billy Monger, where people can make donations towards him to help him out in what's going to be a very difficult few years in the near future for him. So what we're going to do is, at the end of the video, I'll post a link to the Just Giving website page for Billy Monger in the description of this video. I'll also try and pop it onto the YouTube chat, and I'll also add it on to the links on our posts on Facebook regarding this event and possibly tomorrow's events as well. And to be honest, as unfortunate as the incident has been, there's been a rather large response from the racing public out there. I checked about 15 minutes ago how much had been raised for him, and it was at about £60,000, and then within, I think, 5-10 minutes from Racing GP had checked, and it had gone up quite considerably. So yeah, our best wishes go out to Billy Monger, who hopefully recovers as best as he can very quickly. I will now hand over to our commentary team for tonight's event from Racing GP and Lord JB13.
Yeah, thank you very much there, DP. I am GP, also known as the Murray Talker, and I'm pretty sure you'll find out why later on. So yeah, with me in the commentary box, Lord JB.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Obviously, sad news about Billy Monger. Best wishes have been sent, as JB says, as a DP says. Yeah, heartbreaking. I mean, it's one of those situations that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, but all the best for the future for him. But we're going to concentrate while we can on the event we've got. We are running a little bit behind schedule due to technical problems. So I'm going to read through the drivers of the World Championship reserves. DP will be invited in the World Championship drivers to fill up the spaces in a moment. And I am aware we've got a new driver. So JB, there might be some drivers here you're not familiar with, but if there is one you're familiar with, just say so, and if you can give any information on them, that'd be great. So in the Mercedes, we've got Emre Ortal and a new driver called, I don't know how to say this name, Alakamol. I like
just call him 05.
05, yeah. Wait, I might actually call him I like you, Mal. Okay, it's Emra's teammate anyway in the Mercedes. Looking down the list, we've got Danny Relton, 1987. We've seen a fair bit of him, and Dave the Harp. He's told us to keep a close eye on him because he's up to pace around this circuit.
Oh, he's enjoying this.
Yes, he is. Here's some drivers you may be aware of in the Renault team: SBL Mali Kekec and Drew. A pair of drivers, JB, that you've raced against yourself.
Yeah. Well, more of getting in the way of them.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do. If you can't beat them, get in the way of them. All right, obviously, in a nice way. Looking further down the list in the McLaren, we've got Karim Kapitan, who has raced a couple of times for us now. He's in the McLaren. Be interesting to see how he gets on today. It does look like we've not got many drivers on the grid, but again, I will explain why. This is the Reserves League. for the World Championship. So this is the group of drivers that are aiming to try and get a seat into the World Championship. So it's the pool of drivers that can be selected when there are seats available, or if a driver is unavailable for a particular event, they can look at these drivers and go, can you take my seat for an event and score my race team some valuable points? So on that, JB, what are your thoughts on the front row racing reserve system, as you are currently a reserve in the World Series reserves?
I enjoy it. I like the idea that everyone can race, even if it's not in a championship area.
Yeah, you've still got some competitive racing there, and you've got a bit of a point to prove, show how good you are, and who knows when a seat's going to come available. And we've seen it over the past few weeks, and one of the reasons why there's not so many drivers in the championship reserves at the moment is because some of them have been moved up into the World Championship, and the likes of Erna Ercham, who I'm pretty sure will be in this session in a few moments' time, filling up some spaces, along with his teammate of Sertek Karatepe, who was in the reserves. They've both taken full-time seats now in the World Championship, and it was deservedly so as well.
Yeah,
About Singapore, yeah, go on, sorry, yep.
I did have a little chat with Garfield after the last event.
Yeah.
And I said that he did deserve that drive in the Censored Williams, and because we had quite a little battle, and I did let him through at one point because I did jump over a curb. But he's a nice guy, and I think he does. I think he will do well. Sorry, in the series.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you see a driver like that you've been battling against get a full-time seat, it gives you that encouragement yourself, and it shows that there is the possibility there for that to happen to yourself, and you've just got to be a little bit patient and take the opportunity when it comes.
Yeah.
Singapore, interesting circuit. It's a night race. Temperatures are different. At night it's very humid, but how do you go about setting up your car and being ready for a race around Singapore?
For me, I simulate my Monaco setup.
Yeah, very similar circuits.
But I have a little more turning because there's a lot more sharper turns than Monaco. Yeah,
Monaco is a circuit that you can attack, I would say, and Singapore is one of those circuits where you've got to get the flow right, and you can't really necessarily push to get a good lap time. It's about consistency around the lap rather than pushing hard.
I mean, say if they messed up on the 7, 8, and 9 complex, they'll just compromise their turns all the way through.
Yep, and if you lose momentum on one corner, that's it then for the next 2 or 3, and the time will just keep dropping away. I'm just wondering how DP is getting on inviting in the World Championship drivers.
Well, we're just going to have to hang on a couple more moments. I just managed to send out the last invites out to the drivers. I just want to should we do question of the day now?
Go on then, why not?
Question of the day now. Okay, well, we're just waiting a moment to give people a chance to get in. Okay, so question of the day. We're here at Singapore for this race. Now, a long time ago, a fellow called Sang Nila Utama went to this island and he saw a lion, and he named the island Singapore, which means the Lion City, and that's how the name Singapore came about. The question of the day, though, is how many lions were there on the island? So if you think you know the answer to that one, or you'd like to have a crack at a guess at the answer to that one, feel free to post it on the YouTube comments, and we'll get Steve and Jack's thoughts on that in throughout the race.
Yeah, well, Jack, what do you reckon? How many, was it lions, did he say? How many lions were on the island?
I think I'm pushing for 6.
See, it could be a lot, or it could be not very many, and I'm wondering whether it was a mistaken identity, and I'm going to say none.
Pardon my French. I've just checked the Just Give page, and they've passed 100,000.
Wow, that is going up, and that just goes to show the respect that he's got from the racing community.
Yeah, I mean the crash itself. I mean we're talking obviously about Billy Monger there, and I am going to post the links on the YouTube channel as well. It just goes to show how many people have been affected by it, and there could be some cynical people out there and go, oh, well, why should we help him and not other people? Well, I think when it comes to the racing community, accidents happen, and unfortunately sometimes people may get a little bumped and a little bit bruised. But it was just the nature of this crash. It was one of those that sort of reminds us, those of us that are old enough, of I can't remember the Italian guy that went to the Olympics who was involved in that crash in America in the Indy cars. Yes. It was a crash a lot like that. It was a kind of freak accident,
that
and
will never happen again.
Yeah,
well, hopefully.
Well, one thing I was going to say as well is, I mean, hopefully, obviously, the racing community on the technical side of things with the Formula 4s, obviously, there will be an investigation and a way of seeing if they can avoid anything like that ever happening again. But it was a freak accident that, unfortunately, has had a life-altering effect on him. And so people banding together and saying, you know what, this person's been extremely unlucky and I would like to help them out a little bit, even if it's only £2, £3, whatever it might be. If you feel like you want to donate, then donate. On the other hand, if you feel like you don't want to donate, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that as well. But I would...
None of us are pressuring you to donate.
No, would never do anything like that. But I do know that, for example, for a racing GP and for myself, we were there at Donington. Steve saw it happen live. I didn't actually. So it may have had an effect on from a racing GP that it may not have as much of an effect on as me or people that watched it on television as it happened.
Oh dear!
Oh dear!
Oh, it's raining.
People that watched it on television would have had a different effect to it as well. But yeah, give what you can if you feel like that is what you'd like to do. Anyway, let's focus on what looks like a very, very wet Singapore, guys.
Oh dearie me.
JB, go through the weather forecast for us if you would.
Well, right now for qualifying it is very wet, but it's gonna cool. It's gonna dry out a bit in 5 minutes time. So I could see intermediates if it can dry out quick enough.
So maybe quicker towards the end of qualifying. And what is the race saying to us?
For the race at the start, apparently it's going to be a bit wet.
Ooh. Ooh.
But it will dry out, so this could be a strong race for those who pick it at the right time to swap in the pits.
Yeah, that pit stop to change from the intermediates or wet tyres over onto the slicks is going to be a crucial timing. So are we expecting to see many cars out on the track? Well, there's someone out there already, someone we've not seen before. And DP, how would you go about pronouncing this name? Alaikimo?
Let me have a look. So I was looking at YouTube. Apologies for that. Let's see. The new fella. There's actually two new guys. But unfortunately, one of them's not available today. Schmet, a friend of Mornay's, he's got the same first name as well. Yeah, I like a man. That's how I'd say it. I like a man. Just a quick answer to Ethan Tube. He said, have you guys heard of Billy Monger? He had a serious crash earlier on at the F4 at Donington. Yes, we have, Ethan. That's what we've been talking about at the start of the stream just a few moments ago. And I have just posted the link to the Just Giving page on the YouTube comments for him. And like I said, I will put it into the description on the video at the end of the event.
Okay, who do we have out on circuit? Looking interesting at the moment.
We do have a few drivers out. I think it's just to get a basic lap in. No matter how wet it is, you should get a lap in case there be in racing incident there'd be a red flag. But obviously in this, as a Leica, I'll go straight on. You gotta get someone down in case you're not quicker.
Yep, because even if it does dry up when you go for that flying lap and when it's getting a bit drier, you may make an error, so having that banker lap could be very crucial. Yeah. Getting you a bit further up the grid, and it may be a case of other people may not be able to beat your flying lap that you did on the wet. Yeah.
something I want to just mention to you guys as well. I'll quickly let you know which WCR drivers are on track. Danny Railton is, Alika Mal is, Dave Harp is. Let's see, Kareem Captain, he's out on track. Mali Kekech, Erna Urchum, although he's now a permanent driver. Drew is on a flying lap, and so is Emma Ortle, by the looks of it. This version of Singapore, it's got the new sling in it. What are your thoughts on it?
JB, what are your thoughts on the new Singapore sling?
I didn't know they had a new sling in it.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from the previous one. I'll tell you what, if we watch on board now with Aliki Mal, while he's going around this lap, I'll point it out to yourself and the viewers, and we'll see if we can spot the differences. It's basically the swing bridge that they've decided to take the opposite side of the road. They used to travel on the right hand side of the bridge, and now they travel on the left side, so it's still just as narrow, but it's made the turning in and out of the bridge very interesting, shall we say. As he's Aliki Mal now just managing to get around at turn 9. The first sector of a 34.8, and in these conditions I don't think that's too bad at all. So he's approaching Singapore sling about now. It's where there used to be a tight left right lap, little kinky chicane, but now look, you've got to keep tighter left, and you take a tighter line onto the bridge, so you're on the left side of the bridge now. So when you come off the bridge, you've got a bit more space on the exit here, but it makes you turn into the left a bit compromised, unless you get over to the right hand side on the exit of the bridge. So your racing line through there is quite different. So anyone that's raced on the Singapore circuit from previous events, when it was the other way around, may find it a little bit odd to them. He's just got a cargo past him.
I think Aliki Mal's just either pulled out of the lap, or he's struggling massively.
Yeah, I don't know who it is that's gone past him, but it could be a World Championship driver. We're just going to stay with Aliki Mal at the moment. And his second sector was a 47.6, so down a little bit, but like you say, he may have just pulled out of the way of that car. He did make an error on his out lap, and that may have put him off a little bit when he got to the similar sort of corner on his flying lap. 2 corners to go, and is he going to set the lap time, and where's it going to put him? It's going to be a 206.3, but it's P1. The car that overtook him was on an out lap. Well, there we go.
Sorry to cut you off, but Danny Railton has gone faster in the first sector.
He has. It's a 34.6 sector 1 and a 48.9 sector 2.
He was held up in that second sector as well by a Haas. So well spotted there, Jack, for seeing Danny Railton. But yeah, he had a Haas in front of him all the way up to turn 14, which may have compromised his middle sector.
Okay, let's have a look, see how he gets on with the final 2 corners. The front end looking very sharp on the turn-ins. Plenty of downforce on this car for these conditions. Is he going to beat the 206.3? No, he's just off a little bit of that second place currently.
1 second down.
Not too bad. Well, Dave the Harp currently sat in 3rd place. So he didn't do too bad on his previous lap. He's on another one now. Let's see if we can find a driver that's in the reserves. Aliki Mal retired from the session.
Mal's just retired.
Now, is it a retirement or is it terminal damage? If you have a quick look for us on the
I will take
race director, it will tell us.
While he's doing that, I can let you know the Green Captain just popped himself in what was 3rd place. He's now been bumped down to 4th. So drivers definitely out there. Dave Hart though, 34.7, sector 1, not bad.
It was SPL
has crashed out.
Ooh, well that goes to show how important it is to get that banker lap in. SPL Mali Kekech took Dave Harp's 3rd place off him. He's gone into P3 currently. Looks like he's backed out of his in lap. Korean Captain, he's on a 35.3 and he's gone a little bit deep there. Can he get it around the corner? Oh. Yes, he has. Turn 8. But his rear end's wanting to overtake him. Are you seeing something at the moment?
Oh, it was just the Mercedes, the last remaining Mercedes, going into the wall at the side of the pit lane. I don't think any damage. I think he must have just... Oh, it's locking up all over the place.
Is that Ortle by any chance?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Now, I was watching a car a little earlier on and noticed that there was a Mercedes nose first into the pit wall, pit entry. it's something we've seen in the past around Singapore, and it can be quite easy to do, especially if you've got a little bit of front wing damage. So I think Emma may be sort of full on struggling out there at the moment. But in these conditions around this track, it is going to be a struggle for people, especially if they've been practicing for the dry. I tell you what though, Drew, he's come out to the pits on a set of intermediate tyres.
I'm just wondering.
The first to come out?
I'm on board at the moment with Cream Capitan with the wets on, and it looks like he is struggling on those wet tyres. Just hit the wall actually underneath the stadium, underneath the stand, and I would say it probably is intermediate conditions. So let's find Drew and have a look. Yeah, Drew's looking quite comfortable on those at the moment. DP, keep an eye on Drew. Let us know when he's about to start his lap, and that can be the one that JB can take us through then. So
no problem. Oh well, in that case, then you might as well get Jack to keep an eye on Drew.
Yep.
Jack, have a look at Drew.
I was already on him.
That's all right. Emma Ortle, he is on intermediate tyres as well, but he's definitely struggling out there at the moment.
Okay, Sertak has just crossed the line, P4. Looking at his sector times, not too bad, pretty consistent to what we've already seen from the other drivers, but he's going to have to try and get that car back to the pit lane and stick on some intermediate tyres. It's going to be interesting to see how the times come down with the guys on the intermediate tyres. Dave the Harp just about to cross sector 1. Is he going to improve? No, I think he's just backed out of it. I think he's decided this will be his in lap. He's currently sat in P7. Okay, I have just clicked onto the next driver, and it is Drew, and he has got 2 more corners to go before he starts his flying lap. So JB, over to you for his flying lap.
Right, we're here with Drew. He's about to come over the start-finish line, going very deep into that turn. Shifting up the gears, but he's going to have to brake early. See a manner on the... Oh, lots of lock-up going through turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. I don't know if I'm lagging a bit or if he's lagging, but...
Possibly Drew.
Yeah. Going down towards the first DRS straight, second DRS straight, which obviously isn't in activation as it is wet here. Nearly kissing that wall as well on the way through.
A 33.8. Yeah, DP 33.8 sector 1. How does that compare to the wet drivers?
WCR drivers, it's good. He's actually a second up on the fastest WCR driver in sector 1.
Okay, JB, back to you.
Right, he's coming along this side. This could be a pole lap. He is very good at getting the lockups out. Braking hard again. I need my track map, but I can't be bothered to open it up. Down towards the sling. Oh, he's hit the wall! Oh no! Oh, that's such a shame. That was such a good lap.
And he did very well there to get out of the way of the Red Bull coming as well. Yeah, just caught his wall on the right hand side of that bridge post, and yeah, lap over. How unfortunate that is for Drew. But would you say that is a clear sign that the intermediates are now faster than the wets?
Oh yes, yes. They're much faster right now.
They definitely are. Jamie James, if he completes the lap he's on, he's a WC driver, so we don't really care. But if he completes his lap, could potentially be pole position. But to put it into perspective, Drew's lap was on a level with F1 Roadrunner, who's a WC driver. So yeah, let's see.
Oh, he hit the wall again.
Oh dear, oh dear. Kareem Captain, he's out there. That's all right. On intermediates as well.
Yes, let's see if we can find someone that's just about to not far off start a lap. From Danny Relton still on the wet tyres, 35.0 sector 1. With 6 minutes 20 left, he's not going to have much time on the intermediate tyres. SBL Malikeke struggling to make a corner there on his out lap.
Might have gone a little bit too deep. Might have braked at dry conditions area.
Yeah.
Just spammed by invites.
I've just gone back onto Drew, and even though he had a spin, it's just wheels gone. That's Drew's session over. Yes.
Oh, not only that, his teammate SBL Malikeke may have just damaged his front wing. Something that a lot of the drivers are struggling with at the moment, and you two have just hinted on it, is lock-ups and braking points. And there's a bit of a chat on YouTube with, I think it might have been actually SBL Malikeke asking, how do you brake in the wet? Well, there's quite a few yeah, gingerly. There's quite a few factors to it. One of them is consider your brake pressures, your brake bias, even your tyre pressures. Don't try braking where you can in the dry because it just won't work.
No.
But also, you potentially have to think about increasing front wing to help give that force down on the front end to get the tyres to grip when you do apply the brake pedal. But yeah, a few drivers out there definitely struggling on intermediate tyres.
Well, a driver that's struggling on the wets. Dave the Harp's just hit the wall and he's going to love me for that. I think he was on his way back to the pits anyway, but he's going to need a new front wing as well as new tyres on his car.
Yeah, Manny Kakash has gone in for one too.
Holy moly! I know that we don't care about the World Championship drivers at the moment, but Simo's going out on a set of Ultra Softs and it's still raining. He's not going to... No!
Oh, Danny Railton's gone deep.
Oh, Emirates Auto, wheel gone. Coming out of the last corner. Tried to get the power down.
Honda's made straight.
Yeah, put his foot down, back end just overtook the front. So just making me wonder, I mean, these intermediates, are they sufficient enough, or is the rain starting to come down a bit harder?
Well, it definitely ain't time for slicks. Obviously, you guys want to focus on the WCR drivers. But I am going to have a look at Simo. It does look dry-ish down what would be the sort of the first real DRS straight, but yeah, it's not time for slicks.
Okay, Sertek Karatepe, he's a World Championship driver now. He was a reserve. He's got his full-time seat. He's out on a set of intermediates. Kareem, here we go. Here's a guy that's on a lap. It says flying lap, sector 1, a 33.7. That's pretty good because we saw Drew do a 33.8. Sector 2 of a 47.9. That's not too bad. So Kareem then, last sector to go. This could be putting him up near the front row as long as he can... keep it out the walls like the other guys. He has got a Ferrari going rather slow ahead of him. He's going to wish that would move out of his way nicely for him. Can he make the turn in nicely onto the apex? Being very gingerly on the power. And the Ferrari does move out of the way. So we've got 3 corners to go until that lap time pops up and it tells us what position he's got. He's currently sat in 10th. Can he make this final turn very gingerly with the steering and the throttle?
I'm watching the times right now.
Crossed the line, and it's P5.
Oh dear.
I was expecting a little bit more there, but I'm wondering if that Ferrari just put him off a little bit in towards the final couple of corners there. What can you see on?
Left the session.
Yeah, it might be connection issues. He is allowed to rejoin and retake part with him leaving in qualifying. So let's find another one. Espion Malikakec, he's on an outlap. We've only got under 3 minutes left to go, so if you're not out on circuit now, you're probably not going to be getting a lap in as Malikakec gets overtaken by a Haas going rather quickly. Dave the Harp back on another set of intermediate tyres.
He is struggling with a turn in there, isn't he, Dave?
He is. His front end does not want to turn into the corners at all on his car. But oh, is that a purple? Let's have a look. If you could tell me, 33.5 sector 1 for Kareem. 33.5.
It's not quite a purple, but in reference to WCR drivers, it is a purple.
Okay, so Kareem Capitan, he's currently in 5th. We saw him do his last lap. Could this be front row then, JB? What do you reckon?
It could be if he can keep it under control, because these cars are fighting the drivers a lot.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out to the viewers at this point that this is the no assists league, so that these guys don't have ABS, they don't have traction control. So yep, they've got the full power. Manual gearboxes, yeah. If you see the wheels locking up, yeah, they are locking up. It's not a visual.
Oh, Manny Kakash.
What's he done?
Sorry. He's gone straight on at the bridge. He's done a Rosberg.
I'm just wondering if he did that deliberately or got out of the way of Kareem, because Kareem was just following him on a hot one. He was just about to cross the start-finish line. Currently in 6th. He's going to go into... Stay 6th. Well, that surprises me. And I think the rain has stopped.
It may have done.
Yes,
some information for you. Dave the Harp, he's on a flying lap. SBL Malikakec just starting a flying lap. Let's see, who else do we have? I will check and I'll shout him out to you. Danny Railton, he's on an out lap. So quite a few of the WCR drivers out there on out laps at the moment.
Okay, we've just seen Dave the Hart go past Sector 1 with a 33.7. So nice Sector 1 from Dave the Hart. If you see any other WCR drivers, JB, that cross Sector 1,
yep.
You want to shout out the Sector 1s or Sector 2s to give us some sort of idea of who's doing what. In fact, you might not be able to because we're going to get kicked out of the pit lane in about 15 seconds time, so it's going to be rather unfortunate. Right. Yeah, so it does mean that we're limited to what we're able to see.
Here's something for you. That's my new saying. Instead of I tell you what, here's something for you. You said it stopped raining. We know that Simo, WC driver, went out on slick tyres, 4 seconds off the pace in Sector 1 alone.
Okay, but what could he do on the next lap? Or towards the end of the lap? Is it drying up? I don't think it's going to be. But
no, it's not drying up yet.
I think for himself, it's worth him experimenting, and that's probably what he uses this session for, with him being the championship driver. Malik Ekek's currently sat in 5th position. Nice purple. Is it purple or pink helmet he's got there? I think it's purple and pink.
Yeah, let's just pop over to him.
I thought someone pinched you then, Jack.
Sounds like you enjoyed it too much.
I make the most ridiculous noises when I'm playing this game.
Captain, he spun it, clipped the barrier on the apex into the tunnel, into the bridge, under the stadium section, and Renault's just got straight into the barrier. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I'm just seeing the replay of Malik Ekech there. I mean, this is where... just as you pop off the camera to watch Kareem Captain, unfortunately missed the Renault have a crash, but both of them lost out there massively.
Yeah, I just popped off Malik Ekech and then saw him in the background, so I just jumped back onto him quickly. It still improves his position from 10th to 9th, though, even though he did clobber the wall. So the track is getting quicker, or has got quicker. The checker flag obviously has come out. I'm just going to see if we can find any of the... reserve drivers still on track. I don't think we have any of the reserves still on track. It seems like it's just the championship drivers just need to finish off their laps. So interesting.
In answer to your Malik Ekech helmet question, I think it's peach, turquoise and purple.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Very feminine colours there from Malik Ekech. He'll love me for saying that.
Let's see. Ooh, someone's done something. Go on, tell us about it.
Oh, right over the line, he span it. The Russian has span. It's a...
It's not a Russian flag, it's a Dutch flag.
Isn't it? I can't tell the difference.
Was it overdiking?
That's it. I'm dyslexic, so sorry.
Yeah, I think... Is it a Russian flag upside down? He's put his flag upside down.
It's one of the two.
Dom's going to love you for that, calling him a Russian.
Didn't do my impression.
Unfortunately, we've got the flashing screen, so if anyone's epileptic, close your eyes as this qualifying session comes to an end. Just want to put a quick reminder out there as well that obviously this is the World Championship Reserves event, so our main focus is on the reserve drivers. WC drivers are in the lobby to fill up some spaces, and also it gives them the opportunity to test stuff out. So like you're saying with Simo, seeing if the track was dry enough. He now knows it wasn't. However, I reckon if he'd have been on the slick tyres right at the end of that session, it may just have come good, but that's a lesson he may now have learned.
Yep, so there we have the qualifying order. JB, if you want to start going through that qualifying order for us, I'd appreciate it.
Right, so we have Stocky on pole with 10th Fear lining up second. So that's 1-2 for the Manners there. Jamie James, the Red Bull, bring up third, and a Haas in fourth. I do apologise if I can't say your name. F1 Roadrunner in fifth, and Dave the Harp in sixth. God damn these names.
That one gets everybody.
Struggling.
That one gets everybody. That's exactly why Steve did it too.
I'll tell you what, I will help you.
Disappear.
I'll help you out now. I'll carry on because I've got a screenshot of what he was. So yeah, after Dave the Harp in seventh, his name is Erna Urchum. So yeah, Erna Urchum. In 8th is Kareem Kaptan. In 9th, SPO Malik Ekech. 10th, Alaiki Mal. In 11th, Danny Railton. 12th is Drew. After Drew, we've got, let's have a quick the order. That is a lot of rain for intermediate tyres. Yes, after Drew, 13th, Overdyking. 14th is commentary car. So we've got, in and amongst the commentary cars, we have got coming to get you, Simo, Emerald Ortal, all in amongst the commentary cars. Well, it's going to be up to them to avoid us, not the other way around. Let's have a quick look at strategy.
Yeah, I've just checked that. It's a full intermediate race by the looks of it.
Well, the weather may change. I mean, with it starting intermediates, it will show intermediates for the duration. Just want to remind you, Jack, to pop your pause button on for the formation lap.
There it is.
Okay. Now, in a moment, Steve is going to be leaving the lobby to return to catch the start of the race, hopefully. I'm going to have a quick look at the race director. Obviously, everybody is on the intermediate tyres, but as Steve was touching on a moment ago there, that yeah, Emerald Ortal, Simo, and those guys near the back of the field, they are going to move forward in a straight line, and then they're predictable, so drivers know to go around them. But I mean, I'm just wondering, Jack, these conditions, it's tricky conditions. How do the drivers approach, or how should the drivers approach the opening laps here?
Hopefully they're very well behaved into turn 1, because this could be messy.
Yep. Talking about Messi, Barcelona and Juventus are playing today, and Malikek actually said that he might actually go watch it. Boo! Boo! Have you not heard of Sky Go?
I think my brother's watching that right now.
Just a quick reminder as well for the viewers, obviously we've had a run through the grid. First, second and third and fourth place drivers, actually first to fifth, are all World Championship drivers. So we're not too fussed about those on the broadcast. Let's see, Dave the Hart, fastest of the reserve drivers, in 6th place. Let's see, and then Kareem Captain in 8th place, Mali Kekech 9th, Alika Mal 10th, Danny Railton 11th, Drew 12th. So we've got sort of 6th to 12th is mainly World Championship reserve drivers. That's going to be interesting to see how those guys get on.
It could be that they could jump up straight into second if Temp has like a bad start, for instance.
Oh, let's not talk about Temp and bad starts.
No, I was going to say Temp has been quite unlucky for starts here. So yeah, mentioning that could be a bit of a sore note. He's already commented on YouTube saying not bad for half a wing. My question would be, how did you end up with half a wing?
Where's the other half?
Yes, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, this circuit, you got turn 1, 2 and 3 are very, very difficult, but it's not just that. Then the long run to turn 7, which is a very tricky braking zone. We could see a lot of carnage there. And as Steve was touching on in qualifying, this isn't really a circuit where you benefit from attacking. It's not like Monaco, where at Monaco, the more you attack, the faster you can go. Here, it doesn't really work that way, especially in these conditions. The more you attack, the more chance there is of you ending up having an early bath.
Oh, I've just clicked on to overdiking, see where he was lined up on the grid, and it's showing me him stood behind the barrier with a set of headphones on.
Oh my. Well, I think he knows where he's going.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, over the wall.
Okay, so Jack, just to let you know, reminder of the start process, and we'll hand over to Steve for the start of the race.
Yeah, I know it's going to show me in my vehicle at the moment, in a moment, so I'm going to try and get, not necessarily up onto the front row, I want to try and get up to where Dave the Harp is, because he's the front row running reserve driver. There he is in his Ferrari on the right hand side of the grid. We're waiting for those lights to come on. They're taking their time. Here we are, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights on. When they go out, we'll be racing. We are racing, and off they go at the start. There's a Red Bull pulls to one side. It looks like he's got a nice clean run down in towards turn 1. Dave the Hart, though, very scary on the brakes, and there's a bit of contact behind him, but Dave the Hart looks like he's got away cleanly with that. There is a bit of contact further back. I think they're all just about got away with it. And just as I'm saying that, oh, there's a Red Bull is it a Red Bull, or is it the other type of car?
It was the Renault, I think.
The Renault.
I think that was a Renault.
A Renault and a Toro Rosso, a bit of contact between them, and headed towards the wall. Rather unfortunate there for them. Dave the Hart, though,
just a Toro Rosso.
Haas and Toro Rosso. So yeah, Dave the Hart losing out on a couple of positions as well. I like him out, started in 10th position, still sat in 10th position. Oh, and there's a car upside down. Big roll, Toro Rosso. How the hell has he survived? That is unbelievable. DP, watch the replay and explain to us what happened, please.
Okay, I'm watching the replay now. Let's see. Oh, sideways, rear end into the barrier. Gets collected by another car. That must have happened just after or just before. I'm not seeing a car upside down on the replay at the moment. No.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely one upside down. I'm just wondering if there's a car out here that does have a bit of lag.
Oh, that's a Mercedes. I like him. I was just gone into the wall at the hairpin, but he's okay. He's driving.
Has he lost any part of his wings? And looks like he might have got away with it. I'm just wondering if one of the Toro Rossos out there has got a little bit of lag, and it's just giving us some visuals that are not necessarily happening. Renault into the wall. That's wheel gone.
Oh, dear me! It's my favourite car as well.
Yeah, that Renault of Drew's has gone. His wheel has departed his vehicle. That means race over for him, unfortunately. Just watching a like him, although he is chasing down the other Renault, which is SBL Mali Kekec.
Mali Kekec kissing the wall there.
Yeah, and I like him. I've just gone past and keeping ahead of him. Is it still raining, or is it? Yeah, just a little bit.
It's just a bit.
This is one hell of a long lap, and if you've got to pit, you've got to make the right choice for when to do it. DP.
Yeah, just to let you know, you were right. There was a Toro Rosso upside down. It was just quite far in the distance. I'll try and find out who that may have been, because I think it may be lag related.
Yeah. Oh. Well, it'll be noted for crash of the season, that's for sure. We always like a car going upside down. Very entertaining. So, like him, I'm currently running in 12th position. He's got past Mali Kekec, so his next car up the road that he needs to focus on will be Dave the Harp in the Ferrari. And Dave the Harp dropped down from 5th or 6th place at the start down to 11th. So one car going backwards as one car is heading forwards. I'm just looking.
It does seem that the reserve drivers have had such a bad start.
Well, we have to remember that some of these reserve drivers are actually drivers that are used to driving with assists on, and they take part here, taking the assists off, and it is always a bit of a learning process for them. So drivers such like SBL Mali Kekec is a World Series driver, but he wants to take part in a no assist race, so this is where he tries to do that. Same with Dave the Harp. Yeah, so there are others as well, like Hindle, who's not able to make it here today.
Saying that though, Danny Railton, he's overall 7th place at the moment. He's got Erna Urchum, WC driver ahead of him, coming to get you, WC driver behind him, as Mali Kekec's race is over.
No!
That's both Ferraris at their Ferraris, both Renaults out of the race.
Oh dear.
Yeah, those Renaults are not very well built for hitting walls.
Yeah, it's terminal damage.
I've just seen something that surprised me. As Danny Railton takes a little bit too much of the curve there on the penultimate corner. The lap time that just come up as Stocky's fastest lap of 2 minutes. I didn't see. I'll have to see if I can find it on my picture in a moment.
I need to put you off, Steve. Dave the Harp's coming under a lot of pressure.
Dave the Harp, let's have a quick look at him. Let's get to him.
He's defended well.
He has, he's got a like mile behind him. I was surprised at the pace that the fastest lap was just created by Stocky of 2 minutes, considering what they were doing in qualifying. And now they have the full race fuel as well. Is that a sign that the track is drier than what it was in qualifying?
I don't think it is. Just to let you know as well, we've got to change camera, and unfortunately the car ahead of Danny Railton got way too sideways. He lost the position.
Dave the Harp, sorry, cut in Dave the Harp. Deep at 7, and I like him old straight past. So Dave the Harp broke way too late. Very lucky not to cause any damage against the wall, but that won't have pleased him very much at all. So like him all then, he's got a clear run to try and catch up Kareem Capitan now.
And what Dave the Harp did there is exactly what Danny Railton did after he was gifted the position. So he gained 1 and lost 2.
Always look on the positive side. You gained a position. Forget about the one you lost to. Kareem though struggling with the rear end, and so was Lycomore behind him there. Very funny, very difficult to get the power down. It looked like Dave the Harp in the background was struggling as well, very slow coming out of the corner.
Yeah, Kareem was very much off the power. I think he just planted it a little too much there, nearly went into the wall.
Yeah. I would say at this point, you wouldn't even consider going onto the dry tyres yet, especially while rain is still falling. We've seen it in the past that the tracks do take a long time to dry up.
Danny Railton is under pressure from Simo.
Okay.
We do have Alikamal trying to come up with trying to get into 10th place with Kareem.
Yeah, he's right on his gearbox. Can he make it? Can he make a move down into turn 1? Is that where you would make a move if you was Alikamal?
Honestly, I'd wait to the straight, the DRS straight, to get the slipstream up.
At the moment, it's Alikamal that's looking like the car that's, or the driver that's got a bit more confidence in his car.
You need to come and have a look at Danny Railton.
I'm going to come and have a look.
Kareem.
Yeah, you shout out if you see anything on Kareem. Oh yeah, we do have David Hart with... Oh, there's a car that's going to be in the wall. That's Simo. He has just ploughed into the wall and lost a wheel. And it looked like he got the power down and it just didn't go where it wanted to. And now the Haas has spun. I think that's Erna Ercham that has spun. He is a World Championship driver now, so we don't mind about that. But that has just put... Yeah, go on.
He does seem to be very good at putting pressure on people. But Kareem is holding his own very well.
Well, some info on that crash that Steve just showed there. The car, the Haas I think it was ahead of Danny Railton coming out of turn 5, got sideways again. Danny Railton kind of got gifted an opportunity to take the place, and that's when Simo unfortunately ended up into the barrier, and the Haas then spun at the next corner.
Yeah, so these cars...
And the battle that Jack was watching earlier on with Kareem captain, those guys are now right behind Danny Railton.
Yeah, it's
so this could get tasty if Danny gets slower.
They are starting to bunch up a little bit. While we're watching... Oh, is he going to go for a move? Nope, not quite. He looked like he had so much more pace on that part of the circuit. And, I mean... This is something that I know that DP had done in the past when he used to race around Singapore. You follow the drivers in front for a few laps, find their weak areas, find where they're not confident at, and that's the best place to overtake them. And at the moment,
I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow because I'm racing.
I'm hoping for rain tomorrow because it's more enjoyable to commentate on.
well, this track, I mean, Kareem captain potentially under a little bit of pressure here, although that gap's been the same for a while. This track is one of those tracks that when it becomes wet, it is a whole different beast. And I think perhaps the downfall for a few drivers here is perhaps just being that little too aggressive, that little too eager on the throttle. And sometimes patience is a virtue. Seldom found in a woman, never found in a racing driver.
That is true. That is true. And we just saw exactly how far ahead Danny Railton was there as we saw the Ferrari in the front of the screen there, and I like him all piling so much pressure. I'm just wondering now whether he's actually thinking...
he's getting a bit frustrated though.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether he's thinking, I'm going to put as much pressure on as I can until he makes a mistake, and then he'll overtake. But it looks like
both
Kareem...
at the same time, though.
Yeah, both back ends starting to go. Overheating those rear tyres with too much right foot.
Oh, he's going for a move. Who's going to come out on top?
Side by side.
It's a Lycamel. He's got in front.
Now that was a good overtake, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I was on the broadcast camera, so I was waiting to see who would come around the corner.
It was a beautiful overtake. Got him out of position 2 corners earlier to make that move. But can now Kareem stay with him and maybe even attack back, or will we see Alakimel just pull away up the road? And I've got a feeling it might be that might be the case. How's Danny Railton getting on?
I will find him. He's just come from under the bridge. He seems to be doing alright. Little bit of oversteer though. No, I think he's doing alright. Update on the weather though, it seems to have stopped raining.
It does.
I think you could be right. I'm riding on a driver's TV cam at the moment, having a look at a potential dry line appearing. It's still too damp for slicks, that's for sure. But the rain has definitely eased
sorry
off.
to cut you off, but Danny Railton has just gone straight on at turn 1, but he's kept it on the track.
and he's going to have lost a lot of time. I'm wondering whether we're going to see a Lycomel in the background. There he was, just in the glimpses of the camera. Yeah, and I'll give you an idea of what their gap is in a moment as they cross sector 1, but it's not going to be much at all. I'm going to be guessing about 3 or 4 seconds. So Danny Railton, distance from the leader, he is currently 32.8 from the leader. Lycomel is 36, so about 4 seconds then it is between the two of them.
Lycomel is faster than Danny Railton.
I think as well. I think Danny may have had a bit of a slow moment with Simo and the Haas, which I think was Erna Urchin. I think after they both crashed and spun, I think Danny may have sort of had a half a lap of slowing down and saying, "Did I do something there?" Which I can't say if he did. But what I have got is potentially a little bit of a funny story. I mentioned a little earlier about Mali Kekec saying about Barcelona and Juventus. So here's a little story for you from the YouTube chat at the moment, with SPL Mali Kekec saying, now I've crashed, that was so dumb, I broke, then locked up and went sideways into that wall, now I'm deleted. And he's also just said, because I think he may have been in a Mercedes, he's put, Mercedes engineer made the call, we ran the numbers and we decided to go for plan B. Plan B is crash out and watch the football match. So I don't think he did it on purpose, but at least now he's got a reason to go watch the game.
Well, that'll be his excuse, and I can tell you as well though, that the gap between Danny Railton and Lycomel is no longer 4 seconds. It does look a lot closer.
Now I'm on board with the Lycomel right now, and he is closing.
Yeah, the gap's getting smaller and smaller. Danny's gone for the pit lane. Can he keep it within the pit lane? Well, I was wondering, because it's such a long lap, if you think about a Lycomel now, what is the track going to be like by the time he gets around towards the end of it? Is it going to be too bad for the intermediate tyres that he's going to be really off the pace?
He's not on intermediate tyres, Danny Railton, let's put it that way.
Yeah, so
take a look now.
He is on the
my
super softs, the red wall tyres, which, yep,
that is a risk.
It is a bit of a risk, but
he needs to get out ahead of this Haas, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's not. The pit lane exit is still very slippy. Go on, Jack.
Oh, I was just saying I didn't have a decent camera yet.
Yeah, so Danny then trying to get the power down, and we're sat on his rear wing there, and he was able to keep it roughly in a straight line. So we're not going to keep an eye on Danny too much, because I don't want to give it away too much whether these tyres are perfect and everyone's going to jump onto them. I want to go and have a quick look back at Karim Capitan and the McLaren, and also Lycomel in the Mercedes.
While you do that, Steve, I reckon me and Jack watch Danny Railton, because I think this could get interesting, don't you think, Jack?
Oh, it very, very much could.
Well, Lycomel
seems to be a lot stickier to the track right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of cars pitting this lap, because it is starting to look absolutely bone dry out there. Lycomel's just dropping off from the lead cars at about the same rate as he was doing at the start of the race, just like a couple of seconds per sector. But that's because we've got the World Championship guys up at the front that we don't really want to be watching.
Steve, can you come and have a look at Danny Railton? Sorry,
we can.
It's about to get interesting.
Danny Railton then.
Oh dear.
He's got a Red Bull.
Oh my!
Well, that Red Bull, that was over diking on intermediate tyres, involved in a collision early on, I believe, but he's managed to get ahead of Danny Railton, who's on the slicks. Okay,
so currently then, you'd have to say then that the intermediates have just got that margin, extra traction. So Danny Railton, could it have been one lap too early? And with Lycomel seeing him going into the pits earlier on, what's Lycomel going to do? And I've just jumped onto the wrong car. Lycomel then is started his next lap, I believe, so he will not be changing his tyres just yet.
Yeah, he's coming down towards the DRS straight now.
Somebody else is though, Karim Captain, he's into the pits and I'm seeing purple tyres.
So purple tyres, what do they mean, DP?
It means it's a different colour than the red ones. No, the purple tyre is the ultra soft tyre, and I don't think he's going to have the grip. He's into the barrier. Hopefully he's not going to damage his car. Let's see, who is that behind him? Is it going to be Danny Railton? Yes, so he's pitted to try and sort of match Danny Railton, but he's off, he's into the barrier again.
But no damage on the car.
That is very fortunate there.
Oh, Danny on the inside.
Danny
Ooh,
boy,
a
what
little
you
bit of
doing?
contact. He's into the barrier now. I think Kareem Captain, he's definitely struggling on those ultras. And Danny
It was
Burton,
definitely too early for the ultras.
yeah, I think Danny may have backed off a little bit there as well, realised he went for a move, got it completely sideways. Kareem managed to survive. But yeah, fair play to him. They've braved, they've gone for it. It may be close, but if your engineer's not said DRS is available, you don't want to be on the slicks.
That is a good point. And if you're ever wondering when should you be changing, that is normally an idea of when. Also, with the conditions we've got, a lot of people see it differently, that you should go for the grippiest tyre because it's in the slippiest conditions. But sometimes you can't get them into the window because you can't get the temperature into them. So I feel personally that you should go for the harder compound because it's going to be more likely in their window of usability, shall we say. Well, what is your thought on that, JB?
I'd go, it would, depending on what position I'm in. Oh, Kareem's just gone straight on her. But I'd go for the, I would have gone for the harder tyre, so I spend less time in the pits.
Yeah, that is another way of looking at it. DP, what, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I have got some thoughts, but I'm also just watching a Lycamal who's struggling a little bit on the intermediate tyre now. I think we're very, very close. I've also followed one guy that was in DRS range, no DRS available, so DRS not available yet. Me personally, yeah, I mean, you're kind of right. Cold conditions, the harder compound tyre can tend to fire up quicker than sort of the ultra soft tyre. The ultra soft tyres and the really soft tyre compounds, they like a nice, dry, grippy track. That's where they're at their most. In these kind of conditions, they slip and they slide and they wear and they burn up, and you don't really get the maximum out of them. And many people do find that going for a harder compound tyre can be much more beneficial. There's a Lycamal drifting through the Singapore sling. I think he may be pitting soon to get rid of his intermediate tyres, but he may also find out that when he does go to slicks, they're not going to be too great either.
Well, we just had a great shot of his front left tyre. We've still got it, actually. Great shot of his front left tyre, and you've got to say, that's almost as slick as it is. There's no tread left on it. And if it was to rain again now, he'd have to be pitting for another set of inters because they are shot.
Yes, they are. I know I shouldn't be following them, but there's been a move at the front by Jamie James, who has taken the lead as Tempfie has pitted. So this could be an idea that Temp's got the right idea.
Well, that is normally a good sign. Sorry, DP.
Well, it's a sign that Stocky has also pitted. I was going to run through the order in a moment. Stocky has pitted from the lead and Tempfie has followed him in. So Jamie James has taken the lead at the moment. So Jack, you may want to keep an eye on that and see how their gaps go.
Lycamal's gone for another lap. He's gone for another lap as the cars are queuing up in the pit lane to change onto the slick tyres, and Lycamal has opted to do an extra lap on the intermediates. Could this be the right call, the best call, or the wrong call? He's gone off at turn 1, so it doesn't make turn 2. He's got a Haas ahead of him on soft compound tyres, so this is going to be...
I do think it is slick time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether he's going to leave it one lap too long. But could there be another reason for it? If he takes the pain on this lap, could he then stick the soft tyres on all the way to the end? Could that be that it means he'll only have to do the one pit stop, whereas people that have already pitted, they're not going to get to the end. They're going to have to do a 2-stop race.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that because Tempfie has gone onto the softs, and so was the Haas that was behind him.
Yep. The soft compound tyre is the hardest of the compounds, I believe.
It is indeed. Yeah. The hardest that we have available here is the soft tyre. So the yellow wall tyre is the hardest soft tyre, if that makes sense. So I'm sure people understand. We've got the ultra softs, the super softs,
and ultra soft is soft.
Yes, and then there's the one in the middle that's not medium. It's super soft, but it's not the softest or the hardest.
Well, the way many of the F1 teams do it, you've got the prime tyre, the option tyre and the qualifying tyre. Although qualifying tyre here was the intermediate. Just to let everybody know, Jamie James is going to give up the lead of the race as he...
Lights him out sideways! Oh, he was lucky he didn't hit the wall. And yeah, I think he's realised that maybe he should have pitted the lap sooner. That was almost as if he decided, oh no, not going to get around there, let's pull the handbrake. But
I've seen him, he's coming in. I know he isn't. That's his teammate. I do apologise.
No, his teammate's out of the pit, the race.
Well,
Is he?
his teammate's car is still on track though.
Is it?
through
Oh, right.
disconnection.
Okay. I'll let you off then. So I like him then. A couple of corners to go till he gets to the pit lane, and I would be extremely surprised if he went for a further lap. And I am not extremely surprised that he's gone into the pit lane. I thought he was going to avoid it then, but yeah, 26 seconds off the lead then for Alaikimau, and the guys that he was competing with, Kareem Kapitan and Danny Railton. Look, Kareem Kapitan 1 minute 25 off the lead, so Kareem Kapitan then has lost about a minute to him. Let's find Danny Railton. Where are you, Danny? You're going to be currently sat in 8th position. You're 1 minute 14 behind the lead. So overall, Alaikimau then will be the guy that's going to pitch it at the correct time.
Well, yeah, he'll stay ahead. I mean, obviously Danny and Kareem have had their excursions as well. But for Alaikimau, he's on the soft compound tyre. That'll get him to the end. But also the super soft tyre, if they don't burn up too much, could potentially get to the end as well. And just a bit of information for everyone, that's the tyre that Jamie James has gone on to. I will now run through the order with most people having made their pit stops. Quite a few DNFs. Okay, so overall leader at the moment, we've got Stocky from the World Championship, leading Temp Fear, also World Championship. Jamie James in 3rd, coming to get you 4th, and Surtak Karatepe 5th, F1 Roadrunner 6th. Top 6 guys, all World Championship drivers, and coming to get you in Surtak were quite close last time I looked. Alaikimau, he's in 7th place, leading World Championship reserve driver at the moment, followed by Danny Railton, also reserve driver. Over Dykink, World Championship driver in 9th place at the moment. He's done an extra stop than everybody else, with I think going for repairs at the end of the first lap. Kareem Captain in 11th place, back onto the reserve drivers. Then Erna Urchum is in 11th, he's a World Championship driver. And then we've got David Harp in 12th place, also a reserve driver. And then we have, let's see, Emma Ortal 14th at the moment, or it's a net 13th, reserve driver. And then we've got Simo, Malikekech, Drew, they have all retired. Not retired, they've crashed out unfortunately.
Danny Railton currently battling along with Over Dykink. He's just been overtaken at the Singapore Sling. He tried to do a cutback, and the hairpin just after it was unsuccessful. We're just seeing there that he's on the super soft compared to Over Dykink on the soft, and he's losing out to him at the moment. What can you see, JB?
Well, unfortunately, I've just looked at the race director, and Danny Railton does have a 3-second time penalty.
Oh dear, that's going to affect his, well, maybe possibly affect his positioning. There's still, though, more than half of this race to go, so there are the possibilities that other drivers may still pick up penalties. But we won't worry about them too much.
Something you were talking about with Alaikimau, whether he pitted at the right time. Now, obviously this isn't a direct reference that you could use, but it's a little bit of useful information, and that is that Jamie James and Temp Fear were very, very close together when Temp Fear made his pit stop. Jamie James stayed out for one more lap on the intermediate tyre, and he lost 3 seconds from it, so it could be said that Jamie James, Alaikimau perhaps pitted 1 lap too late, but for Alaikimau he had the space to be able to do that.
Yeah, I probably got my words kind of wrong when I said he pitted at the right time. He gained a lot of time over the main competitors, the World Championship reserve drivers. But I think you'd probably have to say that it was a mixture of he pitted 1 lap too late and the other guys pitted a couple of laps too early. So they all kind of missed the optimum time, but it has benefited Alaikimau more than the others in the reserve size.
I do think Kareem Kapitan has picked the wrong tyres though.
And why would you say that?
Well, he's currently in 10th, and what I can see is that there's not many drivers around him, and I don't think they'll last to the end.
Okay, so
as he locks up into the hairpin. So if he keeps going like that, they're not going to last much longer.
Well, I'm just going to grab my notebook, which I have right next to me. It doesn't have my Chinese order on it today. It does have some information. Ultra soft tyres, the purple ones, 13 laps. Well, he's got more than 13 laps to go, and he's been on them about 4 or 5 laps. So yeah, you could say he's going to have to pit again. So if someone went onto the super softs, the red wall, they'll do about 20 laps. So it's touch and go for them.
Sorry, Steve, just need to cut you off for a second. Okay, Alikamal, 7th place. He's being caught by Overdyking, who's in 8th place. Alikamal's in-race teammate is back in his car, so the second Mercedes is a lap or 2 down right now. But yeah, Alikamal being hunted and caught by WC driver Overdyking.
Okay, DP, you mentioned about the returning Mercedes driver there taking control of his car. Just to remind ourselves and the viewers on the ruling for league races and reserve races for returning to your car.
Yeah, in the World Championship and in the World Series, if you get disconnected during qualifying, you are allowed to return, but you're not allowed to go out on track. Unless you haven't set a lap time, you are allowed to set effectively a qualifying band delta time. I'm going to shut up for a moment though, because Overdyking's catching the Lycomel, and this may happen very, very quickly. Actually, no, he's got a decent exit. But yeah, so if they get disconnected during qualifying, they can return, but they can't go and put in a better lap time unless they are behind the broadcast team. They can put in a slow enough lap to put them at the back and start ahead of the broadcast team, and that's because of the effect it has on the starting lights and cars not moving on the start of the race. Oh, I like him out. Big lock up. He knows he's coming under pressure. Let's see how he defends. Now, I did see him go round the final corners a lap or two ago, taking way too much curb. Let's see how he gets on this occasion. He'll be looking in his mirrors, but also trying to focus on where he's going ahead of him. Took the corners quite beautifully this time. DRS available for Overdyking. Will he have a look at the inside? Yes, he does. May still be a little damp and a little slippy up there. Alikamal gives him the space, but he can't really defend it because Overdyking's already ahead. So is that move done? Because there's another DRS straight about to come up around the corner. Let's see how Alikamal gets on round turn 5. He's close enough to attack, you know. Jack, do you reckon he can do it?
I think he might. I think Alikamal has been struggling since the changeover.
Well, unfortunately, he wasn't able to attack or get the move done, but we'll keep an eye and see how he's getting on. Okay, to carry on what I was saying there about the disconnections, yes, so again, WC, WS disconnected during qualifying. The guys can return to their cars but not put a better lap time in. If a driver gets disconnected from the end of qualifying before the start of the race, they can rejoin, as long as they've rejoined before the lights have gone out to start the race. It may take a lap or two for them to be allowed to take control of their car, but they will be allowed to take control of their car and continue the race. They'll have been disadvantaged already. However, as soon as the race has started, any disconnection in the World Champion, in the World Series, that's it. Your race is over, unfortunately. You can return to your car for one reason and one reason only, and that is to retire it and to move it off the racetrack. But yeah, there's no being allowed to come back and take part again. In the reserve events, the World Championship Reserve that we're on now, and the World Series Reserves event that's available tomorrow, the qualifying one would effectively still apply, otherwise you're going to make a mess of the start. But for the race, it's kind of, you know what, if you want to come back and take over your car, you can. You're not going to get disqualified from it. However, if you come back and you remove your car instead, it does show every team out there and every driver out there from the World Championship and the World Series that you understand the ruling on that one. And for those people that have perhaps argued, saying, well, Codemasters allow you to return back to your car, why wouldn't you allow us to do that? Well, when it comes to an actual league event and a race event, what would there be to stop somebody at Monaco going, right, the race has started, I'm going to pull the power out of my PlayStation, disconnect me, and when there's about 5 laps to go, I'll come back in. It's an extreme case of the matter, but that person could end up scoring points when effectively they've ended their race, whether it's in their control or not. So as harsh as some people might think it is in the main event, saying that, that's the way it is. It covers all grounds, it covers all aspects of it. It's massively frustrating for drivers, as we know, but unfortunately that's just the way it is.
Yep, and I'd have to agree with every point that was made in the ruling on that as well. Looking along the circuit at the moment, we've got Danny Railton 1 minute 33 off the lead, but it's not the lead that I'm worried about, it's the car ahead. 1 minute 19 off the lead. That gap though is staying about the same. Danny Railton, I'm just wondering, is he going to be pitting and putting the ultra softs on at the end when it's the driest, and will he have enough lap time to do anything about the cars in front? I think it might be a bit of too much of a tall order. What are your thoughts on it?
I think, let's just check what lap we're on right now.
Halfway.
I think if you're going to pit, pit about lap 22, because then you get to use most of the life of the tyre, and you don't have to, and you still have some left to get you to the end.
Yeah, and whether he can make up space on a life mile or not, we'll have to wait and see. It could come down.
Brings me on neatly. To the penalties.
Okay, what do you have for us?
As Jamie James coming to get you.
We don't care about him. Go on, yeah, we like about. We like him, yeah.
And Kareem Capitan all have 3-second time penalties.
Yeah, it is one of those circuits where turn 1 is a bit blind when you turn in, and I can imagine being easy to pick up a corner cut there.
Yeah,
DP?
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, DP, I heard your mic click.
Yeah, I thought I was looking at a battle, but it was actually Emirate Auto being passed by 10th Fin. Go on.
Sorry to cut you off, but Kareem Capitan is into the pits.
Okay, so from this point to the end, surely it's got to be the Redwall soft tyres, hasn't it?
I'm on board with him right now. He's gone for intermediates.
He's forgot to tell the pit crew to change tyre and what was pre-selected. That's what's happened there. And Jamie James retired from the session. We don't care because he's a World Championship driver, but I got a feeling it was a collision.
Guess who's catching? No, not catching. Dave Harp and Dave Harp has passed Kareem Captain. Unfortunately, Kareem Captain he's going to have another pit stop to do. Unfortunately, he'll have loads of grip on the pit exit, but he's not going to have any anywhere else.
Yeah. So JB, do you know exactly what went wrong there with that pit stop?
With the new system that Codemasters put in with the voice control since 2015. There's been slight bugs sometimes that it does not register your tyre choice. I've had issues with it a few times, and he might have changed it manually to go onto the Ultrasoft last time, but it seems that he's still on the wet strategy that he originally had, as he spins and he's crashed out.
Oh dear, that is unfortunate.
A very big shame, because he could have done well this race.
Well, that's 3 drivers with DNFs within, 2 laps? Jamie James, DNF, Overdyking, DNF, and now Kareem Captain, DNF. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine the voice activation. Something you may want to have a quick look at, Steve. We don't really care about them. However, coming to get you, no, it doesn't matter actually. There's a car between coming to get you and Surtac, and I thought that it was those two very close together, but it's actually Auto being lapped again. My apologies for that. Yeah, talking about the pit stops there as well. I mean, it would be very frustrating if if you're using voice activation and it's not worked. Me personally, I'd never use it. I wouldn't trust it. If I'm pitting, I want to know 100% that I have told it and it's confirmed what tyre it's going to go on. I know they can still have problems, but one of the reasons why this may have happened for him is that at the start of the race, as you mentioned, Jack, it's showing sort of full intermediates all the way through. So effectively your team, your pit crew, is ready to put intermediate tyres on your car all the way through the race. So you do have to make sure that whenever you are going to make a pit stop, you are telling them, I want the dry tyre, because unfortunately they're not the sharpest tools in the toolbox, to be honest. I mean, would you ever see a real F1 team put intermediate tyres on a car on a completely dry track?
I wouldn't
Probably
know.
I've messed up a few times.
True.
I can't answer that question about intermediate tyres on a dry track.
I mean, I use the voice control, but then I'll have a panic moment, so I'll hit circle and bring up the dashboard and see at the bottom I've selected Ultrasoft, and I thought, that's good, I can have that.
Yeah, I mean, I will always double check to see what it says on there before I go in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Because what it says on there is normally 99.9% of the time what the team will put on.
For me though, the mic is very sensitive. So, for instance, last race when I was in the World Series, I was screaming at Jeff to put me on to tell me the tyre conditions, and he wouldn't answer me because I had the stream going on my phone.
Ah.
So So he just had DP's voice, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I can't understand this." It's like, God damn it!
I know what to do then when it's dry. Wet, wet, wet.
That is a very good point. And I'm going to mention a comment on this for JB as well. One thing that we recommend you do when you're racing is don't watch the stream for a few reasons.
I like to listen to what's happening.
I know, but there's a few reasons. If you like to listen to the stream, one of the best ways to do it is see if you can find someone that's prepared to be your race engineer. Let them watch the stream, and they can give you any information that you need. So that then they would. So you don't hear it, they hear it. They're in your chat party, and they can advise you on what to do, on what they're seeing, what other people are doing, and it can help that way. But the reason why I say that is, if you're watching the live stream and you're racing and you're streaming, all that, but even if you've got a good internet, there's that slight possibility that something might go wrong, and it could end up being you get disconnected from the lobby because your bandwidth has a moment of doesn't like you for whatever reason, or it could be your stream stops running and you don't realise, and then if you're in a league race, you've got no footage without realising it. So, yeah.
I had a bit of a scare at Germany, where I was at my grandma's house because my internet wasn't great at home. So I had it all hooked up, and I was with Caribbean Crush in a party, and I thought, yeah, we can do this. Then I just connect, and I'm thinking, balls, this isn't going to go well. So I'm running around trying to get it to fix up, and I get it fixed, and I think, well, if it's not like in the party, I'll go into the McLaren instead.
Yeah. And the internets nowadays are getting a lot stronger, but I think DP will probably agree with me on this, but starting a few years ago, when we started recording races, live streaming races, or doing everything all in one go, when internets were not so strong, it couldn't cope. So it was easier just to say, well, you know what, I just want my internet running on my game so I know I can get to the end of the race. But there's nothing stopping you from watching the stream while you're racing. It's just one
of those things that I'd always advise, or always have advised. If you're racing, ideally you don't want anything else on, just for that risk factor. I mean, it does help in the World Championship and World Series for those guys that have got engineers, because all you need then as a driver is your own internet for your drive in the chat party. If you live stream, fair enough, but you should always be prepared to double tap share record as a backup anyway. Although with the new live streaming settings, if you go too high on quality, you can't record at the same time. You can lower your settings and you can record at the same time, so there's a few different ways that you can look at doing it. And yeah, if you've got somebody else that can watch the live stream for you, it can be very useful. But as you found out a couple of seasons ago, I think it was, Steve, when Kev187 was your engineer, he was sat there saying to you, at America, wasn't he, saying, right, Steve, you can catch him up and I reckon you can make a move on him. And you were like, I've already done it, Kev. He was like, have you? And then he sees the delayed video. He was like, oh yeah, nice overtake, well done. So there is a bit of a sort of delay factor to it. And talking about delay factor, Singapore, it's a weird event really, isn't it? Because the track is oh so long, but there's so many laps to do around this place. It's unbelievable. This race does tend to just sort of go on and on and on and on. And we've got, what, 12 laps to go as I see a Mercedes heading into the pits. Is that Emre Ortul? Yes, it is Emre Ortul. So he's going to get rid of what I think is a set of ultra soft tyres. Yes, it is. And he'll probably put on another set, or go for a set of the soft dirt compound tyres.
Same again.
Yep, same again, ultra soft. He obviously knows that you don't have to run both tyre compounds, especially when it's been a wet race. You don't have to do that at all. Now in a moment I will run through the grid order again for all the viewers, but yeah, Singapore, it is a track where the field can get spread, and when DNFs start occurring, it can really open up the field. And talking about DNF, Steve, Overdyking was messaging on the YouTube comments saying I binned it into an invisible wall. And I asked the question, heading towards the Singapore Sling or DRS, turn 5 to turn 6? And he said DRS. He said, didn't even touch the wall. I then asked left-hand side, He put wheel off, left-hand side.
Yeah.
I think you know what my comment might be next. I mean, obviously I haven't seen it, so I don't know if he was absolutely nowhere near the wall. But would you like to mention about sort of that run from turn 5 to turn 6 and the wall on the left-hand side?
Yeah, there's like a little break in the wall on the left-hand side, and it just for a moment it just sticks out just a fraction further. And last season I just got that's just a slight tap from one of the drivers that sent me over to that part of the wall. Yeah, and it kind of ripped off the whole left-hand side of my car, and that was my race over. But when you're going fast down there, it almost is invisible. But it's just a little break in the wall, and you put your wheel just over there too much, and it will rip it off.
Yeah, I want to just try, if we can, get on board with another driver as well. I'll tell you what, we've not been on board with him for a while. If you jump on board with Stocky for a little while, just give him a little bit of TV time, and we can point out perhaps the wall that you're on about, because there is another one as well. So Stocky here, World Championship driver, in using this as a test session. We probably are going to curse him now. So Stocky, he's going into the pits. You bore. He's going for a set of ultra soft tyres, you know, to see what kind of lap times he can do. There's F1 Roadrunner, F1 Roadrunner is out. Now, something I'm just going to have a quick look at here, and this will be useful information for all of the race engineers. The gap between Stocky, the leader, and teammate, Tempfear in second, was 22nd, and Tempfear is going for the pits as well. I was going to work out what the pit lane time loss was, but okay, if we jump back on board with Stocky for a moment, he is coming back out on the ultra soft tyre. We'll mention about this wall that sticks out. Because as I said, there is a couple of them. I've been caught out with one of them quite some time ago. Around sort of turn 3 you're okay. Something the drivers are going to have to be aware of is track limits at this circuit. White lines are the track limits, not the walls. But yeah, okay, heading down the straight here, it's sort of just after the King, and on the left hand side you can see sort of the breaks in the walls where the marshals are, and then just on the left hand side over there, as Stocky has avoided it completely, there is a bit of a curb that sticks out, and it can just totally destroy your car. You also have to be careful on the right hand side here if you decide to put your wheels as Stocky has done there. Make sure you don't clip the wall, also the tyre sticking out. But it's this bit heading up here on the right hand side, there's a sort of pinch of the wall just here that Stocky's just passed. You have to be so careful to make sure that you don't just clip that with your wheel. You can get away with it on occasion, but if you catch it at just the wrong angle, it will quite happily rip the front end off your car.
I do wonder how they're going to react tomorrow when we're racing, because we tend to battle a lot down the straights. It could end in a lot of DNFs there.
It definitely could. That's why sort of from Racer GP was mentioned a little while ago. I mean, this is a track where if you do get to behind someone, you may have to be patient. I mean, this is a track where if you feel you've got pace around this circuit, you can potentially underfuel your car a little bit, because you don't really want to be running a rich engine mix from sort of the end of sector 1 until the final couple of corners. So as I'm having a look at a Lycomel now, coming to the end of sector 1, you're now into sort of twisty, tight, slow apex corners where if you've got it on rich, you're potentially going to struggle for traction. Okay, if you've got traction control on in the World Series reserves, you're not going to suffer that much, but it may be more beneficial to run a lower fuel load and run a leaner engine mode through some of the tighter, twistier sections, because you never know, it might just end up being quicker.
Well, something I've noticed with full traction control is if you've got it in rich mode and you're in a bit of a tight corner, it does bog down more. So you will get a slower exit even if you are in rich with traction control. You know, in certain corners you are better off with it in standard or lean. So I like him all then. Sorry, go on.
Danny Rowton, just leaving the pits. He's bolted on a set of ultra soft tyres. He's not under attack from behind, so he's okay. Erna Urcham's. He could well do. Erna Urcham, he's in 7th at the moment. Not too far behind him, but I think he may have a pit stop to do. Jack, if you just want to see if you can have a look at when Erna Urcham may have pitted last and see if he's going to the end on this set of tyres.
You don't care about Erna Urcham, he's now a World Championship driver.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
Just want to say though, well done to JB. You said Danny Rowton should pit around about lap 22, and it was lap 22 he came in on. So good call there for the pit stop.
Ah, thank you. Oh, Emerald also just almost went into the wall.
Right, so the front three running World Championship cars then currently, we've got Alaikimo running in 5th position. Then from him we've got Danny Rowton in 6th position, and to his surprise Dave Hart, he is the 3rd top running reserve driver at the moment. He did send me a little bit of a cheeky message earlier on today saying please don't put me on the camera too much, it's going to be embarrassing. So let's just watch Dave the Hart for a moment and see how he gets on with his soft tyres.
He'll do amazing now that we're on it.
I was just wondering if you could check to see how many pit stops he's done and whether he's only done that one stop. So yeah, JB, let us know what Dave the Hart's done and how long ago he did pit.
He's done 3.
Done 3 stops. Wow, well that will explain why he's a fair way down on the time then. I'm wondering whether that's due to damage rather than selecting tyres and strategy-wise.
Well,
so
the tyres he went on, he was intermediate to lap 7, then he went in ultra soft for 2 laps, then he's on the soft tyre ever since.
Right, so when he went on to those ultra softs, probably tried to push a bit too much, may have got damaged, that's why he pitted again. Or he may have realised, nope, these are not the tyres to be on. So, what lap was it you said he went onto the soft tyres?
I will check again.
Lap 10.
Yeah, so lap 10.
Yep, lap 10.
Lap 10 to lap 31, can it be done? It's a push. His last couple of laps are going to be interesting for him. It's about on the limit for those tyres.
It could be puncture territory.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and it might have been more beneficial for him to do 2 stints on a softer compound. He has got a Mercedes catching him. I've got a feeling that's going to be Emirates Auto. No, it's not. It's I like him. I'm coming to lap him.
Well, you mentioned Emerald Auto there, so I think he's been. We saw him struggle a lot in qualifying in the damp conditions. I think he's also struggled a lot here as well in the race. Although, interestingly, the race director just changed on me because it did show him as using the intermediate tyre for 2 laps, then the ultra soft tyre for a lap, and then back to the intermediate. And it's just changed, and he didn't do that. His intermediate tyre for the first 7 laps, and he went to the ultra softs very early, lap 8. He's been on ultra softs since, but he has made 5 pit stops.
Well, there we are. Dave the Hart starting to get caught up by I like him, and I'm pretty sure from Dave the Hart we're going to see how to deal with blue flags.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, that's an experienced driver knowing what it's like to either be caught or catching somebody in a blue flag situation. Dealt with it very professionally there from Dave the Hart.
Yeah. I'm normally in Dave's position getting him out. I think one of my noticeable ones was Hungary, my first race. I was lapped by Valdemar, so I was in between the first and second people right at the end.
Well, at least it means you have to do 1 lap less, which means you can run fuel rich for a little bit longer.
I'm just having a look at lap times, drivers' lap times. Stocking Temp Fear.
Oh, sorry, cutting in on your DP. I like him. I'll just smack the wall at turn 3, and I don't think he got damaged. But Dave the Hart has now gone back past him. No, he didn't.
Dave the Hart's damage on Dave the Hart.
Yeah. So I like him. I was starting to struggle on them tyres. Maybe that's the first real mistake we've seen from him there. Sorry, DP. Carry on with what you were saying.
That's all right. Jack was just mentioning that you may not have seen it yesterday, I'm not sure. Dave went to go around the outside of a Alaikimo and ended up going straight on. Very easily done there. Yeah, driver's lap time. Stocking Temp Fear teasing around 142s.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but Dave has just lost the rest of his front wing.
Oh dear. Well, Steve, you did say you were going to be nice and put the camera on him, so it worked. Back to lap time. Sirtak Kalatepe, he's on the soft tyre still, and he's sort of been teasing 146s, mid 147s, and I like him out on the soft compound tyre. He's sort of mid 147s, low 48s, so pace not too bad, although may have a few off-track excursions throughout, but pace not looking too bad at the moment. Danny Rowton on the ultra soft tyre, let's see, interestingly he's doing the same lap times on the ultra soft tyre that drivers are doing on the soft compound tyre, so maybe those tyres just not working for him at the moment.
Okay, talking about Danny Rowton then, JB, let's have a little look through what he's been doing strategy wise. If you jump on his race director, we'll see what he's been doing.
I will have a look now.
We know that he pitted a little bit too early when he came off the intermediate tyres. We're on lap 26 at the moment, so what did he do strategy-wise so far?
Well, Danny went from the start. At lap 7 he pitted for the soft tyres. On lap 10 he got a warning and a penalty. Stayed on the soft tyres right the way down to lap 22, where unfortunately he got another penalty.
Oh dear.
So he's been on the ultra soft now since lap 23.
Yep.
The end of lap 22, beginning of lap 23.
Would you like to see a potential battle brewing? It's not between a reserve driver though.
No. The viewers might, so go on, who is it?
Coming to get you on ultra soft tyres, looks like he's catching up a little bit to Sertat Karatepe as David Hart makes his way out of the pits. Also going to do re-mention question of the day. Not mentioned it since sort of the start of the broadcast. Obviously racing here in Singapore today. And a long time ago, a fellow called Sang Nila Utama went to an island, and on that island he saw a lion. So he named the island the Singapora, which means Lion City, and that's the name where the name Singapore came from. The question of the day is, how many lions were there on that island? So if you think you want to have a crack at the answer to that one, post your answers on the YouTube comments. But I also will repost the link, or Emra Ortal just getting out of the way of coming to get you. Did it quite well there in a tricky section of the track. Yeah, I will also repost the link to the Just Giving page for Billy Monger, the driver we were talking about in the early stages of the broadcast today. 17-year-old driver in Formula 4. Who in a race at Donington Park on Sunday was unfortunately involved in a horrific crash and a really very unlucky crash. I mean, it was an absolute shame what happened, how the accident happened and the effects of it. Unfortunately, he has ended up having both of his legs amputated, and a Just Giving page has been set up for people to make donations to, if they wish, to help Billy over the next few years try and sort of rebuild his life, and who knows, maybe even still a racing career. With the way technology is at the moment, you never know. I mean, some part of that donation could go towards allowing him some kind of way of being able to race again in the future. So I will repost the link to the Just Giving page, and for anyone that doesn't know what we are on about there's plenty of information about it on Google, but also on the link that'll take you to the Just Giving page, where there will also be information on there, and I will also put it onto the description once the live stream has ended.
I just want to mention another driver many years ago that had an unfortunate incident in IndyCar, Alex Zanardi. Perfect case of somebody that lost legs in a racing incident, but it didn't stop them from racing. He raced in, I think it was some sort of touring cars, or
Yeah.
He even went on to win gold medals in the Olympics in wheelchair racing.
Yeah, it was Zanardi that I was hinting at. Unfortunately, I couldn't remember his name when I was talking about it earlier on. Yeah, I mean, his crash was that was horrific. I mean, it was horrifying. But I mean, if you actually if you do some research on Alex Zanardi, there's a couple of documentaries, and I know Sky F1 in Britain did a piece on him earlier in this current F1 season, and he's definitely a goodwill story post trauma, shall we say. And there's a TV programme I like watching called The Last Leg. I watch them, Steve.
Yep.
The Last Leg. And they actually go to the Paralympics, and they've actually been invited back to the Paralympics by the Olympic Committee to do their show at the Olympics. because of how their show brings people with disabilities and lost limbs sort of more of a life, and especially with the Olympics, the Paralympics, showing that even when bad things happen, there is still the opportunity to have a life and still do great things. And they talked a lot about Alex Zanardi as well, and there's one of the guys on the show who actually said that Zanardi is one of his heroes because of what he's done since he unfortunately lost his legs. And I can only hope that Billy Monger can see things like Alex Zanardi and still find some happiness in life, whether it be in racing or away from racing or whatever it may be. Find something that motivates him as much as he already was, because the opportunity's there. And I think as well, I mean, seeing the response from people on Twitter, Facebook and all things like that, I think that could have such an effect on him that well, everyone wishes him well, let's put it that way. I mean, just as another sign of how people have reacted to it is, we mentioned earlier on that before we came live, I think the funding page was at about 58,000. Within 10 minutes it had gone to about 96,000. Jack then had another look and said, oh, it's sort of over 100,000 now. I've just had a look now and it's already up to £164,000. And this is how much the unfortunate incident with him has affected people who can relate in one way or another, or feel for the person that had such a devastating Sunday a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Looking back on... go on,
just
JB.
to bring it back to track, I don't think Coming to Get You is going to get the car ahead.
I'd have to agree.
Not in time.
We're on the last lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the time we have left, I don't think he's going to get him. If he does, he could just dive bomb it down.
Well, just to let Steve know, Stock is coming into the last sort of complex of corners now. If you wanted to show him over the line,
no, we don't want to show Stocky over the line because he's a World Championship driver. I want to point out though, I was watching I Like Him a moment ago, and he is in 5th position, and he was catching 4th place, Coming to Get You, and he went for an overtake round the outside of a corner. But he's a lap down on him, so I got a bit excited for a moment. Oh no!
Oh, his race is over! His race is over!
Oh, what's he done?
Oh, under the grandstand, it just smacked the wall, and that has got to be so unfortunate for him. That is devastating. That is devastating. Well, Danny
Railton, I think, has just seen that notification as well and nearly went off himself.
Well, we say it's the last lap. Stocky's on his last lap, but I think
Stocky's finished.
Is it come up as it's saying Stocky's finished?
Yeah.
That's okay. Alright. So yeah, that would have been his last lap.
You will not get 3rd place. Just sorry, he's hit the wall a few times, but still good effort.
Okay, so a question for DP then. Do we still invite I Like Him to the podium? I'll ask you why. We've got Danny Railton and Dave the Harp on circuit, and 3rd place finisher in the reserves is Emma Ortle, but he had the disconnection.
We could try sending him an invite. I mean, I Like Him is new to front row racing and may not be aware of the podium interview situation with the World Championship Reserve events. Because it is the World Championship Reserve events, it's not Stocky, Tempfear and Sertet Karatepe that will get invited to the podium interviews. It's the top 3 reserve drivers that will get invited in, which, Jack, just remind you to take a screenshot for us, please, which I'll go through that order at the moment. So Danny Railton, I mean, it did still put a Like Him as a 6th place finish, because he was a lap ahead of Dave the Harp. So yeah, I reckon we should try inviting him in. So the podium interviews for the World Championship Reserves, it is Danny Railton, Like Him and Dave the Harp that will get the invites in, not Stocky, Tempfear and Sertet Karatepe. But I mean, as you said, Steve, he might be rather frustrated about that one. Last lap and you've been it.
Yeah,
a bit difficult that.
And just to make people aware of what the rules are in the league races, if that had been in the league race, it doesn't matter what this screen says, saying that you've been classified in 6th. The rules in front row racing is if you don't cross the line with a checkered flag, you don't get any points. So
That is interesting. I was wondering how you're going to do it, if you're going to bring the full league races into the party. But no, it's good that we're going to get to chat with the drivers. So I want to know how they got the crossover right.
yes, we're changing from the right or wrong, from the inters to the slicks. Yeah. DP, have we ever had a situation where someone's not finished the race but they've been classified?
You
in
know
league
what?
racing?
We have once. It was a fair few seasons ago. It must have been season, or I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 maybe. It was quite some time ago. It was actually Jamie James, and I do remember that in that situation. Sorry, let me just invite the reserve drivers in. In that situation, it was similar to this. Where I think he may have actually been leading the race. I can't remember what track it was at, unfortunately. He may well have been leading the race and he crashed on the last lap. Or may have even got disconnected on the last lap, I can't remember. But his car was classified ahead of drivers that were a lap down. Because he had gone further than them in the race. He'd done a lap more. Now, in that situation, I do know that he was classified in that position. He didn't get to keep the first place because obviously, unfortunately, he didn't get to cross the line. But he was classified ahead of the drivers that were a lap down, which, as soon as you mentioned it, did make me think, oh, you know what? I can't remember if we've ever actually had that situation since it happened to Jamie James. So if it comes up, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Okay, I've noticed we had a couple of drivers join us in the commentary box. We're just going to wait to see if Alaikimo will join. He may not be aware that he's going to be getting an invite into the podium chat. He's just clicked his microphone on in the chat on the main party, so he may be on his way in. So here he is.
Say,
yep.
We did say about cursing Temp, but he did have a pretty good start.
But we don't care about Temp, he's in the World Championship.
Well, give him a little bit of credit.
What'll be even worse though is he's had a semi-decent race today. But problem is he'll probably get crashed into next Wednesday in the World Championship race. Okay, we have now got the 3 leading World Championship reserve drivers in the comms box with us for a podium chat. So drivers, if you could please just make sure that you've got your microphones set to allow to be shared. I'll just quickly run through what we'll do here so Alaikimo knows what's going to happen, and for any viewers that have never experienced it before. The leading 3 World Championship reserve drivers from the event have been invited in for a podium interview, and we'll go to Danny Railton first, then we'll go to Alaikimo, and then we'll go to Dave the Hart for a few comments from them. And we'll also see if anybody on YouTube's got any questions that they would like to ask, and if you have, put at FRR and we'll ask the questions to those drivers. And then we'll also finish off with question of the day. So, Steve, are you going to drop him in it, or are you going to take a question first?
I'll take a question first. He's been a nice lad in commentary, so I won't drop JB straight into it.
Yeah, sorry, just 1 minute. Danny Railton isn't in the party yet.
Is he not here?
Is he not?
No, he's not. We've only got Alaikimo and Dave.
Right, I shall send him another invite and make sure that he can he gets in. He looks like he's not online now.
Now, I could have made that very awkward and let you ask the question, but I didn't.
You should have done.
Well, I'll tell you what then. We'll carry on without him, and I'll ask him a question as if he's here. No, wait, not really. I'm not going to do that. Oh, Alaikimo, I'm going to ask you a question.
He's just left.
I know, that's why I said it.
Oh dear.
Well, if they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk. We'll have a chat with Dave the Art then, shall we?
Yeah, Dave, you got to the end of the race. Congratulations.
Only just.
Now, you did send me a message before the race saying not to watch you. Why not?
Because I'd only had a little bit of practice and it's a disaster. If the 107% rule was in, I wouldn't have made it.
What were your thoughts when you saw rain as well at Singapore?
Well, to be honest, before the race, I went into a session and it rained, so I did have a little bit of practice on the wets just before the race started. So, and it wasn't really too bad until you make the little mistake, and it's very hard to recover when it's wet.
Yeah. Now, we saw you having to make plenty of pit stops Was that just to try different tyres out, or was it to damage to the front wing?
No, I had damage a couple of times. First time was only minor, but cars were just passing me like anything, and I ended up at the back. So I thought I better get in the pits and repair the damage.
Okay, I've got one final. Sorry, I was going to say I've got one final question for you, and then Lord JB will ask you a question. Well, it's not necessarily a question as such, but what it is you persevered through the difficult conditions, many pit stops, couple of laps down, but you still finished the race. What do you say to the new drivers that get halfway through the race, get a couple of laps down, and then give up? What is your word of advice for them?
Well, if your car's still going, just don't stop. Simple as that. Especially at tracks like this where it's very tricky and anything's possible, like happened tonight.
Yeah.
I just carried on going and I finished the race in a quite happy 8th place.
Yeah, well, it was 8th place, but what it ended up being was in the top 3 of the reserve drivers, and that's what we're interested in. So, JB, if you'd like to ask Dave the Harp a couple of questions, because I've noticed that Akamal has rejoined, so yeah, over to you, JB.
Firstly, congratulations, Dave. Well done on your finish.
Not too bad.
How did you get the crossover point right there?
I think I went in a little bit early because struggled a bit on the first lap out, but then it just came into me then, and it just dried up fairly quick.
And when we saw you spin, not spin, but we saw you go into the wall a few times. Did you have a little flicker of your heart when you found out you didn't have any damage at one point?
No, every time I hit the wall I had slight damage, so I just carried on as long as I could. So.
Okay, JB, thank you very much. DP, any questions for Dave the Harp?
Yeah, I've got one. As soon as you touched on it, and you touched on it a little bit, Steve, about drivers not finishing the race. Obviously, Dave, you've been racing front row racing for quite some time. So, as a driver, if this was like a points event, what would your thoughts be of, for example, a Lycomel? It looks like he's had a very good race, and then unfortunately he's on the lead lap, and on the last lap of the race he's ended up crashing. His race is over, but technically he's classified ahead of you still. So from a driver's perspective, from where you're sitting, would you be calling for, oh, he shouldn't be classified, or would you be calling for, well, he did more laps than me, so he should have the points?
Well, was he classified as a DNF?
He was.
Well, I don't think he should get any points. Shouldn't be classified if he's a DNF.
See, and that's why deciding rules is never easy. He did more laps than you, though, Dave. He did more laps than you.
He only hit them all once, Dave.
He might have done more laps, but he didn't finish the race.
Yeah.
He's just left the party again.
Yeah.
It might be a bit of internet issue.
Yeah, possibly. But his internet was fine while I was racing. But if you are listening to the live stream, like them all, please join us back, because we would like to have a quick chat with you. Because you are new to front row racing, it's always nice to meet the new guys. Also to make sure we're pronouncing your name in the way you would like us to pronounce it, even if we're not. Sorry, but it doesn't matter. DP, any questions on YouTube for Dave the Harp?
Nope. Not at the moment.
Okay, alright then. Seeing as we haven't. Yeah, go on then.
Do you think there's a particular lap that you did this race that was your favourite?
Yeah, my quickest one.
not the last one then, or the in lap after the race.
No, I'll say my qualifying lap, because I know it wasn't quick, but I was surprised to be where I was in 6th place. So, qualifying.
I've got a question for you, Dave. It's a really important question. This. Right. At the end of World Series qualifying sessions, there always seems to be quite a long delay before we get to see the confirmed qualifying order. Would that have anything to do with you timing an in lap at exactly the right point, so it gives you 2 minutes to have a cigarette break?
Oh.
No, not at all, because everything's prepared before the race.
Alright, fair enough. I heard a rumour that. I heard a rumour. That was all. That was all.
He's lying.
Okay.
He's lying.
I'm going to watch his next live stream and see if he comes into the pits at exactly the right point, and I hear that telltale sign of.
With his lighter, yeah.
It'd be a little bit like an old cigar advert. I won't say the name of, but I'm sure Steve will know what I'm on about. He's old enough to know. Actually, Dave, so are you. Where they take their time. Anyway. Seeing as Dave's the only one left with us in the commentary box at the moment, I'm going to give you question of the day, Dave. There's been not much action for it on the YouTube channel today, unfortunately, but we'll see if you can get it right, Dave. Okay, a long time ago, a gentleman called Sang Nila Utama went to an island and he saw a lion. So he named the island Singapore, which means Lion City. That is where the name Singapore came from. So the question is, how many lions were there on the island?
One.
One. Well, it's a guess. It's better than YouTube have tried. So I'll just fire the answer out anyway, because annoyingly, one person has got it right.
Oh, wonder if it's me.
It was you, Steve.
Was it?
Oh.
It was a misidentification. The fella thought he saw a lion, so he called the place Singapore, the Lion City, and it turned out it wasn't a lion, but the name stuck anyway. So yeah, so with the Merlion statue, you were close, but not right.
Far off with 6.
Maybe that's why the Merlion statue is a merlion, because they realised it wasn't a lion and thought, well, mermaids aren't real. Put it together. But anyway, so. Time to quickly mention what's next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel, and that is going to be tomorrow night for the World Series reserves here at Singapore again, where the assists are allowed.
Come and watch it. I'm definitely not racing.
Come and watch it. You may see Lord JB having a few bumps on the walls. We'll have to wait and see.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Well, if I say it, it won't happen. But yeah. Feel free to come and have a watch, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see how those guys get on tomorrow as they fight for potential reserve places in the World Series next week. Quickly mention as well, on Sunday is going to be the next round of the Project Cars DTM race, round 3 from Watkins Glen, where you can see Dave the Harp here try and defend his championship lead at the moment, which... Well, 2 rounds and 2 races at each round, and I think Dave's won every single one of them. Somebody needs to come along and see if they can beat him. But it should be an interesting race anyway, from Watkins Glen, a track that is very exciting, very difficult, but also a good place for overtaking. So come and join us for that on Sunday night from 8 p.m. Just one final mention as well about Billy Monger. I mentioned about him quite a few times throughout the broadcast today, and actually I may sort of start a little bit of a discussion with you guys here in a second. But yeah, Billy Monger unfortunately has lost both of his legs in the Formula 4 crash from Donington Park on Sunday. There is a Just Giving page that has been set up for him. I've posted the links in the YouTube chat, and I'll put it in the description as well for anyone that feels like they may want to make a donation. You're more than welcome to do so. Obviously we're not forcing people to do it. It's not us that have organised it. We're just putting the word out there to the people that know and that are watching our stream, and if you do feel like you want to make a donation, you're more than welcome to do so.
They have just passed the 200 grand mark,
which is absolutely fantastic news, absolutely fantastic stuff. I mean, the racing community definitely getting together for the young fella who has obviously gone through a life-changing situation. And I said I might bring on a little bit of a discussion here to you guys, and it's touching a little bit on safety. I don't know if it's perhaps too soon to talk about it, but when I mentioned it on Sunday that there will be an investigation, I think I mentioned there will be an investigation as to what happened, how it happened, how can it be changed, how can we make sure it doesn't happen again. And I'm just wondering if you guys think that obviously in the peak of the motorsports, the Formula Ones and Le Mans and things like that, safety is taken very, very seriously, as it is in all lower formulas. But do you think maybe the trickle-down effect has not been quick enough, really. A little bit like in football, where the Premier League, they're all earning ridiculous amounts of money, but the trickle effect hasn't got down to the bottom division yet. Do you think it could be a similar thing with the lower divisions in motorsport? And could we see some kind of change in the near future towards that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm going to mention something, and I'd have to say, I'm a little bit surprised, really, that the lower formulas don't have a monocoque cockpit, as tough and as strong as the F1 one. Really, I mean, okay, yeah, it could be due to finances, but that's where things like Formula One and the FIA should be subsidising it in one way or another for these lower series. But I can't do it for everything, I know, but surely the safety got to come first.
I think, just touching on what you said there, GP, the FIA should provide a cockpit, and then the teams will build the car around that safe cockpit.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree.
Dave, any thoughts on that?
Is he with us, or is he?
Dave's muted his mic.
He's here, but I think he's just muted.
He's having a cigarette, that's why.
As I said, I was at the endurance race, and they had some support races, which were the Formula races. I got a good look at some of the European Formula 3 cars, so Mick Schumacher and Lando Norris's cars, and they just seemed so different to anything. Even the cockpits just seemed a bit bare, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Can I just say, well, I remember that it's unfortunate it takes situations like this to make things happen in safety.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd agree with you on that one. I mean, it's the way the human race tends to work, though, isn't it? Sort of like everything's okay, and then disaster happens, and okay, we'll react to it. I mean, even if you look at, going slightly off topic now, but the tsunami that hit Japan a couple of years ago, they'd been hit before, and they built massive walls, like 10-metre high walls. Unfortunately, the earthquake dropped the land level down by a metre, so when a 10-metre wave came, it was hitting a 10-metre wall that was actually only 9 metres high. So unfortunately, disaster evolves into further protection. So it is, as you said, Dave, it's a shame that it works that way. And I mean, maybe a little bit like we were talking about Zanardi on the broadcast. I mean, sometimes, yes, these things happen, and it is horrible, and we wouldn't wish it on anybody. And sometimes perhaps think it's a little bit cliche when, like looking back at Senna and going, well, Senna was one of the best racing drivers in the world, but his legacy is actually the safety that came after him.
And it's very much the same with Jules. His since his accident, there's been all the talks of having the closed cockpits now in F1.
Yeah,
and the virtual safety cars as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I mean, the closed cockpits, I mean, I'm not a fan of the halo. I don't like the halo at all. Because for me, if you're having something that's there to protect a driver's head, then why's it got massive holes in it? That's my point of view on it.
The original idea was to have perspex glass in the holes.
Well, I think they'll go that way, but then I can see why there could be difficulties to that as well, because I mean, as I said, me and Steve were at Donington on Sunday, and I know for me there was part surprise at how long it took to get Billy Monger out of the car, but at the same time, 90 minutes. But at the same time, there was that realization of, if it's taking this long, then obviously there's problems, and I think that is potentially what may sort of progress things towards more safety in Formula 4, for example. That I don't think it was anybody not doing their job that made it take so long. It was just the situation meant that they had to take that long to do it as safely as possible. And if you add a closed canopy into that as well, could that have made it even more difficult? Because if the answer is yes, then there'll be people that say, well, you can't go for a closed cockpit. So it's potentially a bit of a sore topic, but one that obviously many people are going to have a view on. But I think everybody would agree that what has happened to Billy Monga is massively unfortunate, massively life-changing, and we wouldn't wish it on anybody. And obviously we all send our best wishes and hope that he's able to come out of the other side of it with a smile on his face in one way or another.
Yep, I'd have to agree with you on that. I don't think there's much more we can say on the matter at the moment, other than best wishes have been sent. DP, I think the best thing for us to do here is to say that this race was definitely run with the thoughts of Billy in mind, and we'll see everybody again at the next event, which is tomorrow, the World Series Reserves Round 15 at Singapore.
Yep, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.